All right, part 3 of Game of Thrones History and Lore, Season 3. Almost done with this, and we can get on to Season 4. This is The Reach by Marjorie Terrell. Let's get started. Am I recording? Yes, I am.
The Reach is aptly named. We're the ones who give your hands something to do at the table. As the most
What?
fertile region of the Seven Kingdoms, we grow the lion's share of the grains and fruit that feed this country. Especially now, since the rebels have burned down the other fields. Thankfully, House Tyrell is here to do its duty to the crown and keep the capital from starvation. Yet, as with all gardens, weeds grow in the Reach too, though few name them as such. Singers fill our heads with chivalry and courtly love, fluff to make boys fight and girls swoon. Oh, the songs are good enough for a pleasure barge down the Manda. They give pleasure to the common people and harmony to the realm. But if the rise of House Tyrell proves anything, it's that virtue and honor have their place. And if you're not careful, that place is the grave. Unlike the Lannisters, Starks, and Arryns, we were never kings in our own right. House Gardner ruled the Reach since the Dawn Age, and we were their stewards. While they warred to enrich their already rich domain, we managed their castle of Highgarden. But then Aegon Targaryen landed with his dragons. Nobody knows why the Gardener King took the field against him. Anyone could see that a man who grows flowers should beware a man who grows fire-breathing monsters.
Right.
But maybe it wasn't wholly his idea. Maybe someone whispered in his ear about all the face he'd lose with the other 6 kings if he stayed home. The rest is history.
Who did
The
that?
last Gardener King lost his face, along with his body, and his steward Harlan Tyrell promptly yielded Highgarden to Aegon.
Nice.
My grandmother swears that Harlan was like most of our men and grew up banging steel together too loudly for a thought to penetrate. But luckily, his wife
Banging
had
steel.
better sense. Whatever the case, in
they
return for
always do.
Harlan's show of sense, Aegon proclaimed House Tyrell the Lords of the Reach and Wardens of the South, passing over all the other houses with better claims. House Hightower, who were kings before the Andals came, their seat is the oldest city in Westeros. They call it Old Town. Wealthy, proud, and solitary. There have been Hightowers who wouldn't come down from their great lighthouse for decades. Its name, fittingly, is the Hightower. House Florent, who had actual blood ties to the Gardeners. They whinge about their ancient rights to Highgarden every once in a while, and now that their
course
daughter
they
is
do.
married to Stannis Baratheon, about their rights to all of Westeros too. Apparently, putting
wow,
a
look at
fox
that.
on your banners doesn't impart a fox's wiles. House Tarly, who still gives the Reach the best soldiers it has. If Aegon had named them as his lords, the Reach would have become the greatest military camp in the world, until
Wow.
it starved to death. The price for conscripting all the farmers. Yet Aegon chose us. Centuries later, when his descendant
choice.
Aerys faced rebellion, the Reach stayed loyal. Mostly. My father,
Mostly.
Mace, dealt Robert his only defeat in the war, even if it was my father's vanguard who did most of the fighting before he arrived. After the Battle of Ashford, we laid siege to Storm's End, Robert's home. Unfortunately, the war ended before we could take it and free up our armies to go save the king. The new
Go
King
save.
Robert had a forgiving nature. Our crimes were brushed aside without even one execution for the sake of formality. Our family was surprised until Robert's new hand, John Arryn, came by with the bill. The Reach is second only to the
bill.
Westerlands in wealth, and Robert meant to spend as much of it as he could get his hands on. We gave him the coins he wanted, and later, when he wanted our grain or fruit or wine, he gave them back at whatever price we set. Now, much of Westeros
Robert.
is ashes. The rest of it is armies. As the Starks are fond of saying, winter is coming, and for leagues outside the capital there isn't a harvest to be seen. Have no fear. The Reach is, as always, bountiful. House
Will it always be,
Tyrell
though?
will manage the harvest
Is that
and
Olenna?
keep the Seven Kingdoms from starvation, like the good
She's
stewards
awesome.
we
This
once
woman
were.
right here is awesome.
Just ask House Gardner.
Ugh. Wow, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I'm glad. It feels like Aegon made the right choice. Marjorie, the other Tyrells, seem to have good heads on their shoulders. Yeah. And now we have House Frey by Catelyn Stark. Well, this one's not going to be biased at all, will it? I'm going to headcanon this and make believe that it's happening in Catelyn's head. She's narrating this in her head while right before she gets her throat slit. All right, let's go. Probably not.
Some houses rise to power through strength, others through wealth. House Frey gained its title through cunning. Centuries ago,
Slytherins!
its founder looked at a map and noticed how the trident spears the neck, cutting off the north from the south.
Right.
He realized that a river of gold would flow to the man who owned the right bridge across the water. It took the Freys 3 generations to complete their forefathers' vision.
3
A massive arch
generations?
of smooth grey rock, wide enough for 2 wagons to pass abreast.
Whoa.
When they were done, they built high curtain walls, deep moats, and heavy gates to protect the approaches,
Wow.
and put up squat, ugly, formidable keeps on either bank. The twins, commanding both road and river with arrow slits, murder holes, and portcullises.
Murder holes.
The twins ensure that no one crosses without begging the Freys' leave and paying the Freys' toll. The plan worked. The family grew rich and powerful, exacting gold from lords, merchants, and poor farmers. A good thing, too, given the
Farmers,
number of
too.
Freys the bridge has to support. The current lord, Walder Frey, has seen over 90 name days and sired near as many children, true-born or otherwise. A shameful thing in any other lord, but Walder Frey possesses no shame. A dangerous thing for any other lord, but Walder Frey has no concern for heirs or fear of their impatience. Perhaps Lord Frey thinks to outlast them all. Given the infighting he encourages among them, perhaps he
What?
will. Whatever the case, House Frey does nothing so well as survive. When the Ironborn conquered and razed the Riverlands, the Freys hid in their castle. When Aegon and House Tully swept the Ironborn back to their islands, the Freys hid in their castle. When my ancestor demanded their allegiance as Aegon's new Lord Paramount of the Trident, the Freys bent the knee from their castle. Perhaps then we should not have been surprised when my father, Lord Hoster Tully, called his banners against the Mad King, and Lord Walder didn't answer. The Baratheons, Starks, Aarons, and Tullys, some of the oldest and greatest houses of Westeros, fought and bled for the cause of justice, while House Frey hid in its castle and waited.
What did they ever...
No doubt if Rhaegar had one of the
Frickin'
Trident, Lord Walder would have given him safe passage into the north to destroy the rest of my husband's northern army for a fair price. But Rhaegar fell, and lo and behold, the Frey army appeared to render aid to our already victorious forces. Many sniggered that Lord Walder had been waiting for his army to come of age, having fielded it out of his own breeches. My own father named him the late Lord Frey, to the other lords' amusement. A slight that pricks Lord Walder to this day.
We
In
heard
many
that.
ways, however, Lord Walder was wise. We had no guarantee of victory, and had he fought with us from the outset and we failed, he would have lost the bridge his family was so proud of. More pride than honor. Those should be the words of House Frey. Yet part of me wonders if Lord Walder waited not out of fear, but hope. That we would be destroyed, leaving him to assume my family's place as Lord Paramount of the Trident. To buy the respect they've always wanted, but refused to earn. No. Not even Lord Walder could be so disloyal.
Really? Well, that was definitely... she definitely thought... those thoughts were definitely from before the reigns of Castamere. The reigns? The reigns? Yeah. Oh, man. No idea. She had no idea what was coming. All right. The Westerlands by Tywin Lannister.
The Westerlands are all bounded by 3 natural defenses: mountain, sea, and forest. Necessary barriers when the land is as rich as ours. From our mines come the gold and silver that fuel the rest of Westeros. From Lannisport, our largest city, come the most skillful gold and silversmiths in the land. Yet geography alone is not strength. The Westerlands would have been sacked and pillaged for thousands of years if it hadn't been for the men who ruled it. My family, House Lannister. According to legend, we trace our descent to Lan the Clever, a trickster of the Dawn Age, who swindled the Casterleys out of Casterly Rock, their ancient castle.
What?
A childish story, but not without merit. 1, a mind can and should be a weapon in a man's arsenal. 2, Lan must have been clever enough not to rely solely on his wits. After all, where today is House Casterly. 3, by keeping the Casterly name on the castle,
Yeah, that's weird.
Lan reminded the world of the price of getting in his way.
Wow.
The Rains ignored all
They like
these
doing that, don't they?
lessons. Not content with being the
Rains.
second richest family, they sought to challenge the first. Mine. My father had put up with their insults and disrespect. When I came of age, I led our army to teach them what they should have known. Some people say I was too harsh, that eradicating every member of their family was not necessary. But now, there are no bannermen as loyal to their lord as the Westerlands to us. If any lord bridles at our authority, I have only to send a singer with a harp, and he falls back into line. Because I will not have our lords squabble amongst themselves, like the lords of the Riverlands, or hide in their castles like the lords of the Vale, each of our bannermen contributes a unique skill that furthers the whole of the Westerlands. House Clegane, because every
Soldiers.
lord needs a beast from time to time. Sir Gregor strikes terror into the hearts of our enemies, and our friends.
And our
So
friends.
too does his disappointing brother Sandor, the
Disappointing.
traitor.
Oh, yeah.
House
he's true.
Payne, who provides us loyal servants. Sir Ilyn Payne was once captain of my household guard, until the Mad King heard him boast that I ran the 7 kingdoms, which I did. The Mad King tore out Sir Ilyn's tongue, making him especially well-suited to later become the King's Justice. Apparently these days, a younger Payne also serves my degenerate son, Tyrion. House Lefford, who guards the Golden Tooth.
Wait. Who?
The eastern pass through
Podrick?
the mountains and the all-too-frequent chaos of the 7 kingdoms.
Podrick Payne?
Though
Is
after
that his
Robb
name?
Stark's recent incursions, perhaps we need a new gatekeeper. Fools look at the Westerlands and see gold. Fools see our wealth and call it strength. Gold is just another rock.
It's Gryffindor.
The Westerlands are strong because of House Lannister. From strong leadership comes unity. From unity comes power.
So, he said that another Payne serves Tyrion. The only person I can think of that serves Tyrion is Podrick. Did we know this before? That his name was... That he was a Podrick Payne? That's really interesting. And he's related to Ilyn Payne. And I knew he had his tongue cut out from a very early episode, but I had forgotten why. And it was for saying that Tywin was running the kingdom. Wow. Very interesting. All right. The Red Keep by Joffrey Baratheon. Let's see what you got to say. Little shit.
Mine. That's
Mine.
what the Red Keep is. The
Mine.
small folk say its color comes from the blood Aegon spilled to win his crown. Fools. Blood
Fools.
doesn't soak into stone. no matter how hard I try. Aegon built his
Holy
castle
crap.
of red rock to remind people of the fires he'd roasted his enemies in. So whenever King's Landing looked up, they'd see the price of defiance. He knew the first rule of kings. Only fear keeps men in line. Fear and punishment. A lesson he taught his son, Maegor. When the builders finally finished the Red Keep, Maegor executed them all to keep its secrets safe. Rumor has it, miles of hidden passageways run behind the walls and under the floors. One day I'll have to find them. Traitors and women work in shadows. A king has no need for secrecy. Now,
He's
people
messed up
name
ideas.
Maegor the Cruel, but I doubt any dared in his day. His
Maegor.
strength was all too rare in the degenerate Targaryen blood. The simpering Baelor the Blessed created the Maiden Vault to imprison his own sisters and save himself from carnal thoughts. Disgusting.
Wow.
Though, I admit a prince form
Your parents.
could be amusing when Tommen bores me. My
What?
favorite place in the Red Keep? There's so many.
What?
The Traitor's Walk, where I mount the heads of my enemies. It's a shame flesh rots so slowly. I've almost run out of spikes. The dungeons are also quite nice once you get past the first 2 levels. A stable for common criminals and private cells for useful highborns. How boring, I know. But then you come to the black cells. No windows, no torches, just darkness, and whatever you hear in there with you. Here we keep the greatest traitors, until the king is ready for them, and with these, I often like to take my time.
Is that where Ned
But
went?
I've heard rumors of an even lower, hidden level, Maegor's favorite.
Maegor's.
Once a man was taken here, he never saw the sun again, nor heard a human voice, nor breathed a breath free of agonizing pain. Varys must know the way, but that overgrown girl pretends not to. Maybe he fears I'll make him a victim. Maybe I will. Then again, torture chambers are
Joffrey.
just so private. Better to punish your enemies where everyone can see and remember. Like that Targaryen who forced his nephew to watch as he fed the boy's traitor mother to a dragon. Oh, what I could do with a dragon. Even Aerys,
Absolutely
fool as he
nothing.
was, knew to burn men alive with an audience, to spread the terror far and wide across his kingdoms. Of course, I know my favorite place now. When I sit on the Iron Throne, high in the Red Keep, all of Westeros scuttles below me, like insects, waiting for my heel to land.
Frickin' Joffrey. Frickin' Joffrey. So he likes an audience for his torture. Unlike Ramsay, who likes to do it in private, it almost seems like. There's very rarely an audience, I feel like. There were those 2 women once, and when Theon was castrated, but other than that, it's been one-on-one with Theon. I guess the others are just distractions. Joffrey likes to do his torture, his execution, his punishment in public, in the public view. Interesting. Because he doesn't care about what other people think of him. Though I doubt Ramsay does either. I don't know. Alright, The Lord of Light by Thoros of Myr. He's the guy who went to King's Landing to convert Robert. Or not King's Landing, King's Landing to convert Robert. He fought with Robert and was trying to convert him. And then he revived Beric Dondarrion, right? That's the same guy? Thoros of Myr? Yeah. Alright, let's go. 3 minutes left. 3.5.
I was born youngest of 8 in Myr, across the narrow sea.
Youngest of 8.
So my father gave me over to the Red Temple. In their wisdom, they decided to make me a priest instead of a warrior or a temple prostitute like other children. It was not the path I would have chosen. Sure, I prayed the prayers and I spoke the spells, but I also led raids on the kitchens. And from time to time, they found girls in my bed. Such wicked girls. I never knew how they got there. Then again, I did have a gift for tongues. And when I gazed into the flames, well, from time to time I saw things.
Oh, that kind of
Even so, I was more bother than I was worth. When the High Priest foresaw Robert's ascension, he sent me to turn the Storm Lord to the Lord of Light. When Robert seized his crown, we'd take all of Westeros from the Seven in a single stroke.
Didn't happen.
Perhaps they thought Robert would listen to a kindred spirit, or perhaps celibacy had addled the High Priest's brain. I didn't know, and didn't care. I was free. I did my duty as I saw it, drinking and whoring and waving my sword around. The only gods Robert cared about anyway. Years passed, Robert became king, I became a joke. We both became fat. I even won some glory in Greyjoy's rebellion, first through the breach and all that.
First through the
It's
breach.
amazing what boldness a full bladder can inspire. But Robert had stopped listening to my sermons a long time ago, even if I'd still bothered to give them. Then came Robert's death, and the war. I'm not speaking of those brats squabbling over the world's pointiest chair.
World's pointiest chair.
Powers long asleep are waking and moving through the land. I've seen them in my flames. Shit, I've seen them with my own two eyes. The Lord of Light is real.
Yes.
And if he's real, then all of it is real. Man once again faces the war for the dawn, which has been waged since time began. On one side is the Lord of Light, the heart of fire, the god of flame and shadow. Against him stands the great other, whose name may not be spoken. The Lord of Darkness, the soul of ice, the god of night and terror. According to prophecy,
Ominous.
our champion will be reborn, to wake dragons from stone and reforge the great sword Lightbringer that defeated the darkness those thousands of years ago. If the old tales are true, a terrible weapon forged with the lifeblood of a loving wife's heart.
Whoa,
Part of me
I
thinks
need to,
man was well rid of it.
I need to listen
But
to
great
this again.
power requires great sacrifice. That much, at least, the Lord of Light is clear on. I sound like a dried-out old woman, I know. But as our former hand liked to say, winter is coming. When the cold winds rise, all men, no matter their faith or lack of it, huddle beside my night fires. And I pray the prayers, and speak the spells, and beseech the Lord of Light to bring back the dawn. So far, so good. But reprobate as I am, I can't help but wonder what will happen if, one day, our Lord does not answer. Imagine a night that goes on forever, so dark and full of terrors. I think I need another drink.
That was really what is this from Ice? Oh, Telltale's Game of Thrones. I contemplated playing that, but I was like, instead of watching the TV show, this was like years and years ago. I was just like, yeah, I'll wait until I watch a TV show, and didn't for another couple of years. That was really interesting. Like, he was saying something about the person dying becoming. I gotta listen to that again. Where is it?
Then against him, according to prophecy, our champion will be reborn.
According to prophecy, our champion will be reborn. Is that talking about reincarnation of the old champion, or is it saying? Yeah, it's talking about reincarnation, not about reviving. So it's not talking about Beric Dondarrion or anyone else who gets revived. So I guess there's no real way of knowing.
To wake dragons from stone and reforge the great sword
To wake dragons from stone. That would be Daenerys.
Lightbringer that defeated the darkness.
Sword Lightbringer. Don't know about that though. I don't think we've heard Lightbringer so far. Anyway, guys, this was really interesting. Thoros of Myr. I feel like his story, we barely got to see him, and he's capable of reviving people. That's really impressive. So maybe we'll learn a bit more about him in the next season. Yeah, I'm excited for that. It's going to come up soon. Can't wait. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye, friends.